Float is the 3 point and 1 4, and final you have to consider as a f. Definitely in the ending point you have to use that semicolon. Double D equal to 88.756421. This is the maximum value actually double, and boolean b2 equal to um, true or false only, it can be acceptable, and boolean b2 equal to false, it can be acceptable. And character, so this is the ASCII, so that's why you have to mention that double single quotation. Within the single quotation we have to use that C. So one character only you have to use that within the double quotation. So, and R also, if you want to use that R, and single character you have to use an A. So for example here you have to use that R A, then automatically it can be getting that error. Did you identify this one? So as a key value it can be accepted only one character only. So please observe that. So if you want to get any long, then here we have to type on that long only. Okay, so that is that. And please note this point actually. Every time the creating the variable, before the creating of that variable, you have to use that data type. That is a very most important. So for example, here you have to creating that variable a equal to 20. So before the creating of that variable, you have to created that data type or character or integer, whatever it may be. You have to use the before the using of that variable, you have to use that data type. Then you have to, after that using of the data type, you have to using that variable. Then that value, it can be before the assigning that value, you have to use that in between that variable and value, you have to use that operator. Okay, so that is the thing. And default value, what is the default value of the variable? That is a very most important, guys. So this is the viva question actually. So on that purpose you have to use that static int I. So here you have to use this here only. Static int I, and string and arguments, and in the braces, and here you have to remove this one, and here you have to call that only variable I. So just to have to call that variable, then it can be given a default value is the 0. Just you have to identify this one. Default variable value is the 0. So that is the viva question. You remember that one. So if you want to approaching on that basis of that Java developer, so definitely that interviewer, it can be asking that the variable default value, what is the variable default value? So that the variable default value is the 0. Yes guys, it is a today class actually. And what you have to discuss on that, just you have to observe that. See, here what you have to discuss on that, what is the data type. So what is the data type? So a data type is a classification of the data. classification of the data. That is a simple abbreviation of that data type, and that is the textbook abbreviation. And categorization of the data types, and how many categorizations, and two type of categorizations, primitive and non-primitive data types, and what are the primitive and data types and available in Java. So we're already discussed that primitive data types and numbers and integers and decimal types. And integers, it can be having that different type of data types, that is the byte, short, integer, long. And here the decimal data type also is there, that is the float and that doubles. And here also the short forms I have to mentioning in here, and how much of memory it can be utilizing from your data types also I have to mentioning in here. Please remember that one. So after the completion of this third point and fourth point, what is the default values and size of the each primitive data type? So already we have to discuss on that. So how much of value it can be considered as a characters and integers, floats, and these are all things we already discussed. And finally, what are the non-primitive data types in Java? So we already discussed that non-primitive data types, the arrays and collections and interfaces and classes. In future, we have to discuss on that in briefly, arrays and collections and interfaces and classes. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. If you get the any
String
doubt,
is a non-primitive data type.
yes, sorry.
String is a non-primitive data type.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Where is that string?
But you have